Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel an urge to act out in ways that contradict your ideal self? What if I told you that these reactions come from a hidden part of your psyche, the part that you rarely confront? This part is what Carl Jung called the shadow. It's the unconscious, repressed part of your personality, containing all the traits, desires, and impulses that society tells you are unacceptable. The shadow is not inherently negative. In fact, it holds the key to a deeper understanding of who you truly are. The traits that you might label as bad or evil often find their root in the shadow. These could be emotions like anger, jealousy, or envy. However, when you suppress these feelings, you fail to acknowledge the parts of yourself that need expression. By ignoring them, you may be neglecting essential parts of your psyche. Jung emphasized that integrating the shadow into our conscious self is vital for personal growth. Without this integration, we become fragmented, living in denial of who we truly are. So, the question arises, are you willing to face your shadow and accept it as part of yourself? Or will you continue hiding from it, unknowingly sabotaging your happiness? Why we hide our shadows? The fear of being unacceptable. Why do we hide parts of ourselves that we know exist? Why is it so difficult to accept the parts of our personality that feel wrong? The answer lies in the fear of judgment. From an early age, society teaches us what's acceptable and what's not. We are conditioned to behave in ways that fit neatly into a set of moral and social norms. In turn, we learn to repress anything that deviates from these expectations. Jung believed that our repression of the shadow begins early in life. If we display behavior that goes against societal standards, we risk being shamed, ostracized, or even punished. Therefore, in order to avoid rejection, we learn to bury the darker aspects of our personality. This is not just about avoiding social rejection, but also about avoiding the uncomfortable confrontation with our own limitations. But what if hiding these traits does more harm than good? By pretending to be something we're not, we deny ourselves a chance to grow, to become whole. By embracing the shadow, we acknowledge that it is an essential part of who we are. It's not about excusing negative behavior. It's about understanding why these behaviors emerge and learning to integrate them into a healthier expression of our true self. The power of shadow projections, seeing our dark side in others. Ever wonder why we tend to judge others so harshly for traits we secretly despise in ourselves? Why do we feel frustrated or disgusted by characteristics we see in other people, only to later realize that we, too, possess these traits? This is the essence of projection, a psychological defense mechanism where we attribute our repressed qualities to others. Jung argued that when we fail to acknowledge and accept our own shadow, we project these hidden aspects onto the people around us. This can lead to intense feelings of frustration, anger, and even hatred toward others. Ironically, the qualities that trigger these emotions are often the very traits we refuse to accept in ourselves. Take, for example, a person who is quick to anger. If they haven't accepted their own anger or frustration as a part of their shadow, they may react negatively to someone else expressing the same emotions. This is projection in action. By failing to confront the shadow, they are subconsciously transferring their own repressed feelings onto others. Understanding projection allows us to turn our focus inward and ask the difficult questions. Why does this person's behavior trigger such an intense response in me? What is it about myself that I'm not accepting? The more we uncover these hidden aspects, the closer we come to embracing our complete, authentic selves. The shadow in dreams. What your nightmares are trying to tell you. Have you ever had a dream that left you feeling unsettled or disturbed? Dreams often reveal the unconscious mind's deepest fears and desires. Carl Jung believed that the shadow frequently manifests in dreams, usually through powerful symbols and disturbing images that we may not fully understand. What if these nightmares are not just random, but actually messages from your unconscious? Jung believed that dreams are a direct way to communicate with the shadow, the parts of yourself that remain hidden during your waking life. The frightening figures in your dreams or the unsettling scenarios often symbolize repressed emotions or traits that you've neglected. Jung encouraged individuals to interpret their dreams carefully because they offer valuable insights into the shadow. For instance, a dream of being chased might represent feelings of guilt or shame that you are running from in real life. Alternatively, a recurring dream of losing control could indicate a fear of your own anger or irrational impulses. Instead of dismissing these disturbing dreams, consider them invitations to explore the shadow aspects of your psyche. The more you embrace the messages from your dreams, the closer you come to integrating your full self, facing the shadow, the path to self-awareness and growth. How can you truly grow if you're not willing to face the parts of yourself that are the hardest to confront? Carl Jung's process of individuation requires us to confront our shadow, the unconscious, repressed aspects of our personality. But this isn't easy. In fact, it's often terrifying to acknowledge the darkness within. Yet, it is only through this process of facing our inner darkness that we can fully understand who we are. When we choose to confront our shadow, we begin the path to self-awareness and psychological maturity. This process involves integrating the aspects of ourselves that we've hidden away or denied, allowing them to become part of our conscious identity. For example, acknowledging anger, jealousy, or selfishness allows us to understand these emotions without letting them control us. Facing the shadow doesn't mean we become perfect. Rather, it means we accept our flaws as part of our human nature, learning to express them in healthy, constructive ways. It is through this acceptance that we free ourselves from the cycle of denial and repression, moving toward a more authentic existence. The role of the shadow in relationships. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to push your buttons, while others make you feel completely at ease? It could be that the traits you dislike most in others are, in fact, projections of your own shadow. Relationships offer an invaluable opportunity to discover parts of yourself that you may not fully understand. When we are in a relationship, whether with a friend, family member, or romantic partner, our shadow often gets triggered. For instance, if you find yourself becoming frustrated with someone's laziness, ask yourself, is this frustration a projection of your own laziness or unacknowledged desires? The conflicts we experience in relationships are often mirrors that reflect aspects of our shadow. Jung believed that in order to cultivate healthy relationships, we must first understand ourselves. When we confront our shadow, we become more aware of how it impacts our interactions with others. Instead of projecting negativity onto those around us, we learn to accept and embrace our own darker traits, leading to deeper and more authentic connections. The shadow and creativity. How embracing darkness sparks innovation. Is it possible that your greatest creative potential lies hidden in your shadow? Many artists, writers, and thinkers have found inspiration not by ignoring their dark impulses, but by embracing them. When we repress emotions like anger, frustration, or fear, we cut off access to a wellspring of creativity that could otherwise fuel innovation. Jung argued that the shadow contains both negative and positive qualities. By accepting the shadow, we gain access to a well of creative energy. Many groundbreaking works of art and literature have been inspired by the very same emotions that we deem undesirable or unworthy. For example, artists who explore themes of pain, despair, or alienation often create works that resonate deeply with others. Instead of hiding from the darker parts of yourself, consider how they can fuel your creativity. Embrace your emotional complexity and use it to produce something meaningful, whether that's through painting, writing, music, or any other form of artistic expression. The shadow and mental health. Why repressing leads to struggles. Have you ever felt like you're trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, anxiety, or depression? Could it be that the reason you're struggling emotionally is because you're suppressing parts of yourself that need to be acknowledged? According to Jung, when we repress our shadow, we create inner conflict, which can lead to mental health struggles. The shadow often manifests in unhealthy ways when we ignore it. For example, Someone who constantly represses their anger may eventually find themselves exploding in an outburst of rage. Similarly, suppressing feelings of sadness or fear can lead to depression or anxiety. Jung believed that mental health challenges often arise when we are disconnected from our true selves. Facing the shadow doesn't mean you eliminate negative feelings, but it does help you understand and integrate them. By acknowledging your emotions rather than denying them, you free yourself from the burden of internal conflict and create a healthier mental and emotional state. How the shadow affects your identity. Who are you, really? Do you know who you truly are? Or is the person you present to the world just a mask? The more we repress our shadow, the further we move away from our authentic selves. By trying to live up to societal expectations or projecting an idealized version of ourselves, we lose touch with who we really are. Jung believed that the shadow plays a significant role in the formation of our identity.